on Jazz Cats, hosted by yours truly, Roger Pennsylvania. I have the great Joan Belgrave here. I started to do this big rollout. Then she gave me a look like, don't do that. So anyway, that's what my hesitation was. But that's what makes her great because she's modest and humble and everything. I had a chance to talk to her and know her a little better before we came in here. But I know you all know better than I do. She's a jazz vocalist extraordinaire, music lady, because I learned something that she does not want to be locked into just jazz. So we're going to talk about all of that, but right now, so you don't have to hear my mouth, I'm going to skip the monologue tonight and get right to it. So welcome, Miss Belgrave.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
so
well, it's an honor and excitement for me to have you here. I love doing this show just because I love everything jazz culture. And for me, we have a philosophy around here that I insist on. And it's that jazz is not just a genre of music, it's a culture. It's a way of life, a mindset.
Indeed.
So I strive to be jazzy in everything I do. Like it's just the attitude that I came to know, and from being around a lot of great jazz people, they kind of move to a different groove, and the groove is know that everybody put a pin in groove, because we're gonna talk about the groove and all of that in a few minutes. But yeah, it's being a Detroiter, then I've seen your face lots of times. We cross different circles, paths at namely Birds or different events. And I'm always, in the past, I've been like sitting as a spectator watching, and you're like moving backstage or you're on the stage or you're doing so I've been aware of who you are, and the jazz ties of the name, of course, Belgrave.
Sure.
So you can't be a Detroiter or a jazz person, period, and not know that. And it's a lot of stuff. I was telling you about my ignorance in jazz when I first started this journey, and I had to get educated real fast to know a lot of history. But anyway, nonetheless, I got educated about you in, let's say, the last 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
And everybody, just to let you in on a little thing, how we got to this day. I have a list, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but you're on the list. So
Oh, really?
I have a list of Detroit jazz influencers, legends, masters, etc. Different categories of people, but they're all jazz people, prominent, influential jazz people. And I have a vision to get WJZZ back to measure up to its iconic status, but to go beyond that, because in the past, the station just was a radio station.
Sure.
They just played music and promoted artists. But now I want to be a full-fledged media company. I want to do the same thing in jazz that hip-hop did. So I want to see some artists come out and become billionaires, millionaires. I want all the people, the veterans that's been doing it for a while, to get their propers as far as accolades, honors, but get the checks too.
Right.
So I think if pop stars and hip hop and even country, whatever, they can sell out arenas and things, then why not jazz?
Why not?
And why not Detroit, a legendary city, legendary for music? We should be filling out Ford Field, Comerica Park with jazz festivals. We already have the Detroit Jazz Festival, which is the largest free festival in the world, on the street
Yes.
at Hart Plaza, which is cool. But I would think at almost 50 years, why can't Detroit Jazz Festival move into Comerica Park or to Ford Field or Little Caesars and pack that, instead of having 50,000
Well, it brings in
people on the street?
500,000 people into the city every year.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's my dream that I hope to live to see, like some of my own hopes come. But you're on my list, and I never had met you, and probably 90% of the people on my list I've never met. But Some of them I've crossed paths, but I've never, for whatever reason, had a chance to meet them. So when the opportunity came to talk to you and meet you, I wanted to be aggressive about it, but respectful and everything. But I wanted to like invite you to do the show and to be part of the team.
I'm all aboard.
And
I mean, when I saw WJZZ, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to support that for sure.
And so I don't want to talk about me, but it's related to you. So suffice to say, it's truly an honor for me not only to have you in the studio, but I'm all ahead. I'm like a chess game, 10 moves ahead, and I want to make this jazz dream team that the whole world is going to take notice of. So, like, you know, and when they look and see Joan Belgrave and Sky Covington and all this, then they'll be like, oh, they're for real in Detroit. So that's my hope. So,
well, I can't wait to spread the word.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
And see, so this is what I know, and you jump in, and so I know you're a Detroiter, and then at some point, in musically, entertainment-wise, you moved to California, and then
I was actually born in Ann Arbor, though.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
we're gonna claim you.
But I claim Detroit. Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
So A2, big shout out to A2.
Shorty.
If you all out there don't know, A2 is a nickname for Ann Arbor because it's 2 A's. Right. Okay, blah blah blah. Everybody gets it, and they're really world famous for Hash Bash, and they have the great, you know, the Wolverines and the college and all that. So in case you under a rock somewhere you didn't know, that's the claim all about A2. And they have a great music art festival too in Ann Arbor. But anyway, so you're Ann Arbor, we adopt you and claim you as
Absolutely.
Detroit. But you went out to California to do music and everything, and then you were doing it.
Yeah. And
so then I read that you were so successful at it that, well, first you had a lull in it, and then you came back to Detroit for family business, and then you ended up singing unexpected, unplanned, even to yourself.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like reignited your fire.
Absolutely. I was out in California, and my father passed, so I came back to Michigan, and I sang at my mom asked me to sing at his funeral, and I hadn't sung in public for 15 years because I was busy raising my children.
Right.
You know, having married and had my children. And when I came back and I sang at the funeral, it was almost like a waterfall opened up. And, you know, like my father was looking at me saying, you know, why aren't you singing? You know, you went out there to sing. That's why you left. That's why you went to Los Angeles. And when I got back to California, it's almost like I couldn't stop it. You know, so I had to get a band. I had to, you know, it's like literally I couldn't stop it. My kids were in high school. My youngest was in this last year of junior high.
Okay.
And so I had given them, you know, a pretty solid foundation. And again, one of the reasons I didn't want to sing is I didn't want to go on the road and all of that stuff and have somebody else raising my kids. I wanted to be the one to raise them. So by that time they had what I thought was a pretty solid foundation.
Okay.
And I started singing, and then I got a band together, and I you know, I started recording, and I worked at a recording studio because I wanted to know the business side of the business.
So you were early figuring that part out.
I wanted to know the business side of the business. So Tony Bennett came.
Okay.
It was a wonderful studio. And at the studio, we did not only audio production, but we also did video production. So an artist could come and they could get their stuff recorded, they could get a video produced, and we actually pressed cassettes and CDs. The CDs we outsourced to a CD replication house. Okay. But the cassettes we pressed in-house. So that tells you how long ago it was when there were cassettes.
And CDs.
And CDs, right. And so, you know, and then after that, I got recruited from the recording studio to work for the CD replication house. So I wanted to know how that was done. So, you know, how the clean room and all of that, how they did their pressing, and, you know, how they sent it out to distribution, to the different distribution houses and all of that. And so I had a pretty well-rounded, I had a pretty well-rounded mindset about the business. Then after that, I met. Actually, they came into this recording studio from KPFA in Oakland.
Okay.
Doug Edwards and African Jamal Davis, and KCSM radio station in San Mateo was Pete Fallico, and they were doing live broadcasts, and so they would take the board out to
like a simulcast.
They would do a simulcast, and
Okay.
they would book the bands and take them out and record them and have them on the air. And so I learned. They took me under their wing as far as production.
Right.
So I learned how to produce.
So you learn how to sing the music, write the music, produce the music, publish the music, and the engineering.
All of that.
Okay.
So, I felt that I was really, really, really blessed, and then, my first CD was called Emotions Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was, because I started singing, it caused my 16-year marriage to come to an end.
But okay, so hold it, because I'm a divorced guy.
Yeah.
So and it's a similar thing. So let me ask you this first: when you said the floodgates open and
Yeah.
you couldn't stop singing,
Yeah.
okay, so that's that bug. So was it more like you had put your dreams and ambitions on hold
Oh, absolutely.
to be a mother and a housewife,
Absolutely.
but you still always felt like you're not fulfilling what you really wanted to do?
It didn't bother me.
Okay.
I didn't feel unfulfilled because, my priority was my family.
Right.
So I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. Not until I came back to Michigan and sang did I realize that,
Okay.
I still need to be doing this. So it's not like I was
So it just
pining.
reignited.
It reignited.
Okay.
It's not like I was, saying, that I had resentment.
Right,
or
you
anything.
wasn't depressed. Or
Oh,
angry,
no,
nothing.
not
so,
at all.
So then you doing it, you back doing it
Yeah.
in Cali, and it was going so good, successful. I guess you were out on the road, and you're always in the studio and all
Yeah.
of that. And I will assume that your husband at the time was not a music business person.
Well, I think that especially women in the entertainment business, we
Uh-huh.
have a hard time finding people who understand what we do.
Right, people
And-
want to hug you and be
Exactly.
call you all types of day
Exactly.
and night.
And I think also the fact that I wasn't doing any of that,
Mhm.
for so many years, you probably got used to me not being out and but when I met him, I was singing. When he met me, I was singing. And so I think that I just assumed that he would always know that at some point I would go back to it, But, I think that that's a problem that a lot of women in the industry have. And everything happens in God's order.
Well, let's hold that, because this
Yeah.
is flying. I got to do a station ID real
Okay.
quick. But everybody, listen, you got a great show tonight. I always say that, but it just keeps getting better and sweeter. So we're in the station live, in the studio live tonight with Miss Joan Belgrave, vocalist extraordinaire. And we're at Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. You're watching Jazz Cat streaming live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. I really need you to like and follow and subscribe. Please, show your support, show your love, so I can keep doing this. So, and share, comment. If you missed it, let everybody know. You can always watch on demand, play this back, send it to everybody all over the world that you think needs to see this, especially if you're a jazz lover or R&B or you appreciate good music. So, real quick, I have to tell you, tomorrow night we have at the Jazz Cafe, WJZZ Jazz Legacy Series. That's down at Aretha's Jazz Cafe in Detroit. It's starting at 7 o'clock. We still got a few tickets for the Matt LaRusso Quartet. And it's a special. I keep wanting you all to get on the jazz train. So this is a special event, 2 for 1. You buy a ticket, you get a ticket free. It's only $20 for the ticket. So guys, no excuse. Perfect date night. You go on Eventbrite, get a few tickets, and Miss Belgrave might be in the house.
Oh, I will be in the house.
Okay, so now you
definitely.
can take a picture with her,
Yes.
sign an autograph, and all of that. Get an autograph, buy her CD, whatever, right? And it's going to be a lot of other jazzy people. So go to Eventbrite and get your ticket for that. And then don't miss the Michigan Jazz Festival that's happening Sunday, July 16th at Schoolcraft College out in Livonia, Michigan. It's 6 stages, 35 bands, starts at noon. It's free. It's free parking, and a lot of the event is indoors, air conditioned, comfort, food, and Schoolcraft's award-winning craft beer will be there on sale too to help make your jazz afternoon a great jazz afternoon. So everybody check it out. For more information, go to MichiganJazzFestival.org. So back to Miss Belgrade. Okay, so we left off and you were talking about, some spouses have a hard time making the adjustment for if they have a high profile active spouse, especially men that can't deal with the women.
But I've learned that God is in control. Mm-hmm. And so as devastating as that was for me, it brought me back to Detroit, right. And then I met Marcus.
Right. Now,
who was completely the opposite.
So I read that your album, Emotions Blue, mm-hmm. that you met him, it kind of started out professional. He was going to play on it or do a gig with you or something?
No. What happened is I moved back to Detroit, and I went down to Detroit. My choir director, Michael Ross, said, "Come on." I said, "I need to go down to I need to go and do some promo," because I was actually promoting a show. I was producing a B3 concert with Tony Monaco and Dr. Lonnie Smith. Okay. And so I went down to Burt's Eastern Market on their Thursday night jam session, which is the oldest jam session in the world.
Bill Myers, Ralph Armstrong, Galen McKinney.
Yeah, but at that time it was Bill Myers and Hubie Blake. Okay. And Spider Webb. Okay. So SB something. Yeah. Anyway.
Still going though every Thursday.
Yeah, still going
every
Thursday night, 7
Eastern
o'clock.
Market, Detroit.
Eastern Market. And so I went down there and I sang at the jam session. Okay. And I went up, and I had, but when I came back to Michigan, I had 2 CDs already. One was called Emotions Blue, the other one was called Variations that I had produced. And so when I went to sing, after I got done singing, I had some CDs with me and I had flyers for the B3 concert that I was producing. And so, Marcus came up. This guy came up, and I'm like, I didn't know who he was. Okay. All right, I was ignorant, at the time, and he came up and he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from here," because I had left, but right. I still considered myself a Michigander, right? Even though I'd spent, almost 30 years in California. Mm-hmm. And he said, "No. I know all the singers, and I would have known you." And I looked at him, and I'm like, "Okay, who's this guy?" Yeah. And so he bought 2 of each of my CDs that night, and then I sat back, after I did my little thing, I sat back and I watched, and I saw him, I heard him play, and I thought, this brother got some chops. I said, he's got a nice tone. But more so than that, what I saw is that the other horn players, because jam sessions sometimes can be brutal, right? With everybody trying to show off and show how good they are. But when Marcus got up there, all of the horns started playing as a unit. They all started listening to each other. They started playing harmonies. They started complimenting the singers instead of playing over them. Yeah. And I thought, wow, this guy. So I went over to him and I said, I'm doing a B3 series, and I was wondering if you could put a band together. I said, I was wondering if you could put a band together and open up one of the shows for me. Yeah. And he reared back in his seat. He said, yeah, I could probably do that. I mean, here he is, a jazz master, yeah. Right? And I'm asking him if he could put a band together, right? So he probably thought that was cute, right? So he did the show for me. He said, on one condition. He said, if you sing a song on the show. I'm like, no problem. Right. Sure, no problem. So he did a Ray Charles thing for me to open up, and I believe he opened a series up, and I sang Sunshine.
Okay.
You Are My Sunshine on the show. So, and I paid him very well, because I had sponsors. I had, I don't do stuff where I have to go by the door. I always have my artist money in the bank before the show starts. Whatever I make, either I'm going to make money or lose money on that night, but my artists are always taken care of. So my money for them was in the bank. Not that I had a problem, because we had good attendance.
Yeah, I guess that's the same way
we had good attendance. And so I think that him seeing, number one, that I had my own CDs, that I knew a little something about the business, and that I paid him well, he was like, okay, I need to get to know this lady, right? Well, because I was coming out of a divorce, and I had experienced someone who was not supportive of the music,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I said, no, we can work together, but no,
Right.
business,
strictly business.
That's it,
Yeah.
right? And I think that for him, and what he told me, I shouldn't say I think, because he told me many times, he said, people always come to him wanting something, singers, musicians, they want stuff. They want someone to, him to introduce them to someone, or help them, get a CD, because he, paid for a lot of people's projects. He sponsored a lot of projects under Jazz Development Workshop. But I didn't need anything, I mean, all I needed was for him to play and do whatever he did. And so I think that because I came to the table with my own stuff, it made him more attracted to me, and so, but I still was like, no. So we worked together for about a year, and then what happened is he hired me to do background vocals on a Ray Charles tribute concert at Chicago Symphony Hall, I believe it was, with David Fathead Newman, and was it Leroy Cooper was there? I think Leroy was there. David, Pete, Teray was on drums. Peter Teray. Anyway, it was a bunch of
stars.
Yeah. Cynthia Scott. She was a Raylette. But that was the weekend that Katrina hit New Orleans.
Okay.
And so I remember all of us just being, hurt from what we were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the, Cynthia Scott and I were just talking about this. I was in New York a few weeks ago, or last month, and I was telling her about that, and she remembered we were in the elevator, and the elevator had television screens in it. And we were seeing all the devastation that was happening, people drowning, and we knew that we had friends, musicians, who were, there.
Yeah.
Peter Teray's family was there, because he's from New Orleans, him and Steve Teray. And, he was worried sick, trying to figure out. And so I think that what happened was that incident made Marcus and I say to ourselves, life is short.
Yeah.
So if we're feeling anything for each other, we should go ahead.
Yeah.
And because life is short. And that weekend was the weekend that we actually started dating.
Okay, so that was organic, how it came about.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the ideal way that people should kind of hook up.
Yeah.
Well,
music brought us together.
Right. That's what I'm saying. In this case, music. But whatever the thing is, like, a lot of people try to make that move right off the top based on probably physical attraction or like some other kind of motive, but that was kind of organic and pure.
And it was designed, I mean, it was designed. I believe it was designed by God. And a lot of people, they don't know that story. They think they saw me and they thought that I was that much. And a lot of people think I'm younger than I am.
Okay.
And so then they thought, a lot of people thought.
I did.
Yeah, right. Look, I turned 66 last week. And I'm thankful for it.
You know what? I appreciate that. I love it when women feel like just work it. Like it is what it is.
I'm thankful to be here. Yeah. God is amazing. And I would not go back to my 20. People, I have these young boys try to hit on me. I'm like, Nah, baby.
Yeah.
I done raised my kids already.
Well, I know that.
I done raised my youngest child is 38, so I ain't trying to be nobody else's mama.
and I feel relieved because I'm a little younger. I'm 58, but my oldest child is 40. She just turned 40 in May, so I feel kind of cool. But I want, like, this time flies, and I got to make sure I get everything.
Okay.
So like I'm happy. Like, now I got firsthand information about how that romance and that
Burt's.
marriage
It all started
came
at Burt's.
about. Yeah, and Burt's is a legendary place. I want to touch on a couple of things before we run out of time because it's almost time to do another station ID.
Okay.
But I keep having to say I read because I didn't know you up until this point, and I hope to get the rest of my education about you from you. But it's like you don't want to be locked in as a jazz artist. You do gospel, you do R&B, you do all this. Now, help me and the people understand this. Usually, I grew up around the business, and I'm a promoter.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of, when I want to book somebody, or if they come to me, first thing they say, when I say, well, I do jazz, I promote jazz, they say, well, I do everything. And then I get a little scared. I'm like, wait a minute, pick a lane. That's like, to me, it rings in my head. That's Miles Davis saying, well, I'm going to do country, or I'm going to do disco, or whatever.
Ray Charles did country.
I know.
Very well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's only one Ray Charles.
Right.
So,
Well, but you know, a lot of what I've found is a lot of musicians, not necessarily vocalists, but most jazz musicians do all kinds of stuff.
Right, and I know they're capable.
They not only capable, but they do it.
Okay.
They do it. I mean, look at Kareem Riggins.
Yeah.
You know, for an example. He does everything. He's a phenomenal jazz musician. He's a phenomenal hip hop artist. You know, he produces. He does. What is it with Common? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know. See,
yeah. So, but I think they try to limit vocalists to a lane.
Okay, they do.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get to that. Let me just take a station ID real quick. Well, I got 1 minute, but so we're gonna. But okay, so I'm gonna speak as a promoter and fan real quick. I get it. Like, I know some talented people. I've been involved in personal relationships with some prominent women in the entertainment business who sing. And I was cool with all the fan stuff and the late hours and all that. I just say, see you when you get back.
As long as you're secure and you know where your heart is.
But
you ain't got to worry about it.
What I found, just on my experience, and I know the music business has changed, and it's more open, and people can kind of do what they want to do versus the company or the label telling them what to do. And then a lot of the artists in the past found their success or their power, then pursued other stuff. Ray Charles, Prince.
Right.
Even I found out doing this, Stevie Wonder made some jazz albums.
You understand? Well, he grew up around jazz musicians.
I mean,
he grew
but
up
we
around Marcus.
never knew Stevie as the jazz artist. We know Stevie.
If you hear him play,
yeah.
If you ever really listen to his music and how he plays, how can he not have jazz in his roots?
I'm getting it now because now I'm having a full circle life.
Right.
But this is what was frustrating for me as the partner of somebody that day to day, that's what they did. Sing, business, music. And I used to say all the time, like, one particular lady I know, she started out doing rock. And then she kind of segued into blues because some people knew her voice and said, I think you do better at whatever blues. So then she got into blues, but long story short, for the sake of time, for the commercial part of it, to make money, and don't you have to pick a lane? Or wasn't that used to be the case? I know it's opening up now because people don't have to rely on the company so much.
It used to be the case.
Who they want, but you get my point. So
absolutely.
I need
it used to be the place.
up.
They used to pigeonhole you,
right?
And you had to like my CD Variations. I specifically titled it Variations because it had so many different genres on it.
And I know I'm biased because I listened to the music that was available to me, and it was jazz music, and then I kind of start trying to listen to you. And I had to say, I mean, it's a little biased, but when I hear you sing, like, it's obvious you can sing, right? And I say I like her doing jazz styling better than the pop kind of stuff.
Sure.
So, cause I know it's like you say, the music composition and arrangement that's in harmony with you versus some other type of music or the tempo or whatever. So, like, now I want to keep you as a jazz lady. You see what I'm saying? So if I
Yes.
was the record guy or if I was your manager or something, I'd be like, well, that's cool. And everybody
But you
knows
do
can sing.
jazz.
Yeah, but sing jazz. Don't go over here and do the gospel concert, because then everybody gonna get confused. So I know you had to deal with that stuff,
You know,
especially in the past.
I started out I started out singing in a Baptist church. I was a
Okay.
little girl. I started singing in the choir, and so no matter what I sing, there's going to be some gospel in it. No matter what I'm doing, whether
Yeah.
it's jazz, whether it's blues, whether it's R&B, I think even when I sang classical music, that there was some gospel in there. So I think that your roots are going to be what your roots are, you know, and then you just develop from there.
And then all
Your
the,
root, but your root will remain your root,
Yeah, and
whatever that is.
and most great vocalists, singers, male and female, started in the church. Patti LaBelle, Aretha
Right.
Franklin, Chaka Khan,
Right.
Billie Holiday started in the church.
Right.
Everybody, if you didn't know that, but times was hard, so she had to do what she had
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
But yeah. So it's I guess the business hat of me sometimes. I want to lock people in on my personal taste, because I had this conversation with Sky Covington, Tasha Owens, a few other ladies that I happen to know that are extraordinary singers, and then they still have to make a living.
Sure.
So I'm glad for technology, but I wanna touch on that a little bit more and then move on. But I'm gonna take this quick station ID. So everybody, you're watching Jazz Cats, the coolest show about jazz in the world, on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. We're streaming live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all top social media platforms. I need you to hit the like button, to follow, share, leave some comments. Let us know what you think about Miss Belgrave, her music, whatever you want to see her. I'll get the message to her, or she's gonna plug her stuff and give you her information, contact info in a minute. But check us out, like, follow, share, give me your comments, let me know who you want to see so I can get them on the show, all that good stuff. But we really appreciate your support and we need it. So keep tuning in, and don't miss the Michigan Jazz Festival happening on July 16th, this Sunday, out at Schoolcraft College in Livonia, Michigan. It's free, 6 stages, 35 bands, free parking, free concert, and you can get there. It's air conditioned on the indoor part, and it's a tent, and they have Schoolcraft College award-winning craft beer. So it's going to be a great day. WJZZ will be out there. We'll have a booth, and we'll be doing our thing. So come on out, have a good Sunday, and we'll see you there. And go on Eventbrite. Got the Matt LaRusso Quartet tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Aretha's Jazz Cafe, downtown Detroit. Tickets on sale, on special now. Buy one, get one free. Go to Eventbrite. I'll be there. I look forward to seeing you there. Special guest vocalist Taylor Sims is a young lady that we're introducing. She's going to end up being a legendary Detroit vocalist. And Sky Covington is the fabulous host for the evening. So Miss Belgrave will be in the in this place tomorrow. So check us out at Aretha's Jazz Cafe. Tickets on sale on Eventbrite. And if you're living out of state somewhere, or if you're in Ann Arbor and you want to watch your homegirl, then we may be streaming it afterwards. You got to be there to see it live, but we're going to tape it all up and do it, and then you get to see what you missed. But anyway, back to you, Miss Belgrave. So, you just explained, the limitations when we try to put the artist in a box for our commercial reasons and profits. And then they get stymied, and sometimes it just kills the joy and everything for them. And so I'm glad that that's not the case, that creatively, is more freedom.
I think so.
But it's still now you did all the gambit of the business.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm gonna go to you as your promoter self.
Okay.
Detroit is a hard arena to promote any kind of show from any genre, plays, movies, all kind of music. Like we even hip hop is a hard.
Because there's so much going on.
Yeah. So what in your experience and professional opinion, give me the blueprint for success for the relationship, for the promoters, the venue owners, the artists. How can we all work together? What is the advice? So Detroit, because I'm here, you're here, so we can bring more talent and showcase more talent and create beneficial, profitable lanes for everybody. You know, so what's some tips that you would say to each one of us, the artist, the club owner, and the promoter?
I think number one, for success, you have to have a marketing budget.
Okay.
I think number one, if people don't know about what you're doing, they're not going to come.
Okay.
And so, you know, people, they spend money. I remember this, I was helping this one lady with a club in New York, and she had put a ton of money into the club. It was beautiful club. You know, she had a Fazioli piano in there. So,
okay.
you know, I mean,
you just hit me up to something I never heard of.
Very expensive piano. And she had spent so much money on the club, but she had no money for marketing. And so nobody knew she was there, you know. And so the club failed. And you have to be able somehow to let people know what you're doing, you know, so that they can come. Because if what's that old thing? If you build the field, they'll come. Yeah, you build the field, they come, but they have to know that it's there.
Right.
You know, so I think that a lot of times promoters neglect that part. Okay. You know, they just set up and say, oh, well, if I set this up, you know, I'm going to have people come in and it's going to be a packed house. Well, it's not going to be a packed house.
If I have Joan Belgrave come and sing, it's going to be a sold-out concert.
But nobody knows she's there.
Nobody knows you.
So if nobody knows you're there, they're not going to come.
Right.
You know, so you have to have a marketing budget.
Okay.
You have to have some percentage of your budget for marketing, and you get a good person to do that. You know, I can do a lot of things, and we all can do a lot of things, you know, jack of all trades. But there are some things that people specialize in, you know. Okay. And so, you know, one of my jobs was a production control planner for a major company in Los Angeles. And that job, I had to work with, you know, all different kinds of people, you know, engineers and QC people and buyers and all of this stuff in order to bring the product that came at the end off, like General Motors or Ford or whatever. Okay. But I was the one that put all this stuff together. So what that taught me is that you don't necessarily have to know how to do everything, but you do have to know the people.
And I learned that lesson.
You do have to know the people who. So I, over my lifetime, I have been blessed to know a lot of people who know it. Like people say, oh, you know, you can do this and you can do your website. I said, yeah, I probably could. Yeah. You know, I probably could. But there's somebody who loves doing that. Yeah. You know. And those people that love doing that are going to do a fabulous job.
Yeah, and that's I second that what you said. I echo it. What about, for me, I think it should be a symbiotic kind of relationship with all the parties I said. But so let's say that goes to the venue owners and the promoters. What tips do you have for the artists? Because everybody wants to get as much money as they can get. But I think the artists don't care the challenges that the promoter has to do and the venue owner. So what do you say to the artists so they can be more cooperative for their own sake? Not to help the promoter, but for their own sake.
We're in this love together. You know? Yeah. I mean, we're all in this thing together. Yeah. So, you know, it all works hand in hand. Yeah. Right? It all works hand in hand. And so you have to understand that you're a piece of a puzzle. You know? And if one piece is missing, the puzzle's not going to look right.
Yeah.
So his part works for this part, his part fits for that part, and then people, they see a concert or whatever, and they don't know how much work has gone behind that. All they see is the artist is out there doing their thing, but they had to prepare, they had to rehearse, they had to do all of this. They had to find wardrobe, they had to find material, all of that stuff, all of those pieces fit together. Right. It's the same thing with the promoter. They got to do insurance, they got to get the venue, they got to all this, so.
And lose more sleep than you, because you just do your date for your gig and everything in between. But I want to say this. I want to give the advice to artists and say, no, deal with each promoter on the merits of that promoter. Don't be mad because the other person did you wrong, or because the early days of your career didn't work out and now you just carrying that ship. People I think that's in life. Yeah. That's not just for business. I think that in life you have to learn how to let it go. Yeah, but how to let it go for your own sake. Yeah, so you have to let it go for your own sake. It makes it hard for me, and so I'm like, because at the end of the day, if I'm doing my bottom line, I don't care what somebody else did. Right. So that's. But before we run out of time, I got a few other questions, but I want to let you, one, tell everybody how to find you, buy your music, support you. So let us know how to get in touch with you. JoanBelgrave.com. Obviously, it's the website is JoanBelgrave.com. Joan Belgrave Music on Facebook and Instagram. J Belgrave Jazz and Marcus Belgrave Jazz. You can reach out to me anyway. My music is everywhere. Okay. It's on Amazon and iTunes and anywhere you all the major outlets. all the major outlets you can find it. The latest project that I just released last year, called Ooh Boy, won the Detroit Music Award for Best Songwriter, which just blew my mind because I just finished 18 months of intense chemotherapy and 30 rounds of radiation, 26 infusions, and 3 surgeries. And the fact that I was able to do a video and get a project out during all of that, nothing but God. So what's that saying? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? So I'm playing the Detroit Jazz Festival this year. Okay. I'll be there on Saturday, September 2nd. So look for me there. Okay. They'll have material there. If you're going to be in town, to come on down. Again, it's the best free jazz festival in the world. Okay. And I want to just give a peek and let everybody know that you have pledged and agreed to be advisor to me. Absolutely. and to help take this station to another height. I'm on board. For the world to enjoy. It's not just about me. And I'm speaking to all the haters out there. It's not just about me. I don't do this for just me. I do it for the whole world. I do it for Detroit, and I do it for the young artists. The artists that have a name and stuff for themselves, they'll probably be okay. But it's a lot of people that need a station like this, or maybe this station in Detroit. So get past whatever it is if it's some kind of issue with me. I'm going to stay on the radio. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep doing all that. But I'm doing it for a higher reason than myself. So I'm going to take that advice from you. I'm going to let higher powers than me map all that out. But God is always in control. I have found over the years that even when something bad happens, something good follows it. And there's a reason for that to happen, so that you can be ready to get all of this good. Uh-huh. And I see a lot of good things coming with WJCC. Thank you. And so that. I can't but be a part of it. Okay, and I appreciate that, and it's a true blessing for me. And is just how it makes my spirit feel. Yeah. Having you around saying those things. Absolutely. But what do you think the state of jazz is in the world? Are you hopeful? Is it going in the right direction?
Absolutely.
So you think it's going to be a resurgent heyday?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know, everything is cyclical, right?
Okay.
Everything goes in a cycle between music, fashion, everything goes around in cycles. So you just have to hold on.
Okay, so but you like the direction that it's going in.
You know,
excuse me, because you've been more in the world than I have. So I'm just like in Detroit, seeing the world through other people's eyes. But you've actually been to all these places. So you know,
it's very. I mean, it's so widely accepted.
Okay.
You know, it's international. You know, and I think as long as we continue to reach out, and the internet has made it more available to people. You know, I mean, it's made it available to young people even.
And what I want is for jazz to be cool again. Like, you know, let hip hop and everybody do their thing, but I see jazz for the sophisticated, for the cool people.
Cool TV, right?
It's everything about it. That's why I call it that, because I want to reflect that. I want to just embed that in everybody's walk. That it's cool. It's just like going to school, being cool.
Right.
Is good. Being committed in a relationship, being a nerd, so called, staying out of trouble. That's cool. You know. So all you know, you don't have to be bullied or peer pressured in anything or think it's grandpa music. It's a lot of young people doing jazz.
Look at Samara Joy.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
and
that's enough right there
and
to tell you that it's going, that the young people are listening to it.
Yeah, and the lady Taylor Sims, the young lady that'll be at the concert, I want you to check her out.
I will. Looking forward to it.
See her. But now in these last 5 minutes, what do you want to get out your message? Talk about what you want to talk about. To the jazz world.
I think that I just want us to keep on pushing and to never give up, because we have a message that people need to hear. Music heals, you know. Music heals and it sustains. So I think that as long as we keep doing what we do, that we'll be all right.
Okay.
You know, we're going to be all right.
Okay, well, I'm glad you had the confidence, because sometimes I'm telling you, I like, oh man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. But it's nights like tonight that make me feel good. And even though I'm sitting right here, I have to go home and watch it, because it's different watching it than when you're in the moment. But this is one thing I read about you that I have to ask, because it blew my mind. I read that you did a music project, where Carl Craig, one of the founding fathers of techno, and we claim him as a Detroiter too.
Oh yeah, he is a Detroiter.
Okay,
what do you mean claim?
Well, you know, I know Belleville 3 and all that. Yeah, so anyway, but I know he's a founding father of techno, right? And that blew my mind. You doing now, was it a techno project, or he just happened to be the producer?
No. Wendell Harrison wrote the song called "Where Am I?"
Yeah.
And it was a Tribe rebirth that Carl Craig did.
Okay.
And I sang the song, Wendell's song, "Where Am I?"
Okay. So, now leave it to Wendell and Tribe to be out of the box.
Yeah.
So that's a whole.
Well, it was Carl. You know, his production skills.
Okay.
You know, Carl he's quite a genius.
So it was a jazz record with
Carl Craig.
It was
put out on Planet E.
Okay.
So Planet E sponsored.
Is that available out to the public?
Absolutely.
You know where we can find that?
Just look up Planet E.
Okay.
Just
See,
look up
that blew
Planet
my mind.
E.
I was like, what? She did it.
Yeah. In fact, he texted me yesterday from Italy, Carl.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
All right, but
I was telling him about the station. He's like, "What?"
Oh, okay. Well, you know, now I can have him in here, because I try to keep this jazz, strictly jazz, but that's jazz.
It is.
So you just gave me the pass where I can say, "Come on and tell us about you doing this."
He took Marcus, Wendell Harrison, Phil Ranelin, myself, and I don't know if Doug was there. I think Doug Hammond might have been there too. To Jazz Valette in Paris.
Oh, well,
so,
there you go.
Yeah, so Carl's definitely Yeah.
But when you see this, Mr. Craig, I would love to have you as a guest, even if it's remotely. I don't know when you get
Yeah,
back
he
to
travels a
Detroit,
lot.
but we can remote you in. And I would love to know more about not only this project here that Joan is telling us about, but more of your illustrious career that incorporated jazz and all that. So I'm really sincerely blown away and hope to hear from it from you.
Yeah, he
So-
takes Carl. You know, he takes jazz musicians with him to do his house stuff all over the world. He takes jazz music. He used to take Marcus with him to play on his stuff. Yeah.
Well, then I like you even more now.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, in our last in closing, because we're at that time. But I used to when rave was the thing in Detroit and it was underground, right? Not far from here, actually, probably could walk from here. I had a underground rave club, and he never came there, but a lot of big techno EDM house DJs came, quite famous ones. So I'm proud of that. That I got a chance to meet a lot of them, and my place went kind of like in Detroit rave history. So it's always like I love doing this show because I find out all kind of stuff. But
See, jazz is everywhere.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
That's why I say everybody.
You just don't
now,
know it.
This proves
jazz is everywhere.
it's not just a genre of music.
Right.
It's what's cool, it's what's stylish, what's avant-garde, unique, because it's an attitude, it's a way you think, it's a mindset.
Why was Motown so tight? Because they
the
had
Funk
jazz
Brothers,
music.
the
They had
jazz.
jazz musicians playing the music. That's
So,
why.
Everybody, we got to tune in. We're out of time again tonight. I want to thank Miss Joan Belgrave, vocalist extraordinaire. I'm not locking you into jazz. I just love you doing jazz.
Okay.
And so come on, hang out with us if you're in Detroit. She'll be in the house tomorrow at Jazz Cafe.
I will.
It might be a couple of tickets, so go on Eventbrite and try to grab you a couple of tickets to that concert tomorrow, WJZZ Legacy Series. We'll see you again next week at 8 o'clock. I don't know who the guest is going to be yet, but it's going to be somebody good. I can promise you that. So thank you, everybody. Like, follow, share Jazz Cats on WJZZ Cool TV. Wednesdays live at 8 p.m. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Good night. We love you. Talk to you next week.